a daily basis, guys and girls, on a daily basis. And there's a schedule that's put out each year based on the sports and when they fall throughout the year. And then based on that schedule, we set up crew calls, talent auditions, opportunities for young people to come out, see the jobs that are available in the trailer, and see where they fit in and how they could potentially assist us in our goal to shoot the best possible live broadcasting of sporting events that we can. And we've been very successful. This is going to be my 6th year. I'm going in my 6th season right now here at Stetson. I've worked with lots and lots of students, and I'm very happy with how those relationships have gone in terms of some of those kids actually working with us for 2 or 3 years and then going on to be hired by ESPN and some other national sports leaders in the broadcast field and industry and news and sporting arenas and institutions. So it's kind of awesome that we have that opportunity to expose young people, to this world of sports. I'll give you an example of what our trailer looks like. It's a long trailer that we hook up to a nice truck and we move from venue to venue. But once it's in place, it's locked down and it's basically a mobile home that's situated to broadcast our games from. We store all of our camera equipment there. It also houses our carbonite switcher, our audio systems, our replay systems, our graphic stations, and everything that's involved in the processing of the game. And you'd be really surprised if you're a sports fan and you're sitting at home watching a sporting event, you'd be really surprised at the amount of technical detail that has to go into every single event that you're watching. And that's just an endless number of components that have to work together. So each one of those stations I just mentioned inside that trailer is typically housed by a student or run by a student. There's a student there that's responsible for our ESPN graphics package, which is the exact same one you see on ESPN when you tune into any major professional or semi-pro sporting event. We use the exact same package designed for the college level by ESPN. So we work hand in hand with those individuals at ESPN to work out the bugs and the kinks and the swatches and all those things that make for a perfect broadcast and relate as graphics relate to the actual events that are happening in the arena with score, talent ID, home and away team logos and so forth. There's an intricate amount of information, including stats that have to be entered for every player and every sport. And those jobs are handled by young people that are students at Stetson. We're fortunate at Stetson in that we have a work study program where young people are able to work a campus job. And my department falls under one of those campus jobs. So you're able to actually come out and make about $8.60 an hour working for the university. So in the past years, we've done summer camps and things like that, where 1 or 2 individuals came to the summer camps, and sure enough, they came and joined Stetson. And I gave them my word if you've gone through the camp, you're on our crew now. We expect when you arrive at Stetson that if you're looking for a job, you'll come and knock on the trailer door. And I've hired several individuals that way, and it's an awesome thing to be able to do that. So how do we meet these students? How do we meet these students? As I just mentioned, we do a camp every year. That's very important to bring in young people that may be thinking about coming to Stetson, and hopefully we can get them on the fence and really persuade them after they've seen the university, seen how we run our productions and what's involved with what we do. And like I said, a couple of individuals have actually taken that route and mentioned to me that this was the deciding factor. And I remember Nick from the camp. When I was sitting there looking, I'm going, that kid looks very familiar to me. That's Nick, who was in my summer camp last year, which is so awesome. So Nick, so good to see you. And he was a really young fellow too, and I remember that. So I'm excited to know that you're still on track and still focused to do some broadcasting stuff. Nick, you are on my crew, so I'm hoping you're coming to Stetson, so because you were on my crew. So there's that. So how do I get these guys? We do camps, and that's very cool. We get lots of kids. We started our first year. We did our camp a couple years ago. Our first year we had 7 kids showed up. And then the following year, we had 45 kids show up. So you can see the growth that's starting to happen in the community. Folks are starting to understand what's happening in sports, and in particular in college sports, because with the dollar amounts that are involved with ESPN literally going to every place and filming every game across the nation, they're realizing it's become a much more profitable situation for them to empower the local universities. So that's where we come in, where they find that they brought me in and said, well, develop this program and be a leader in the industry for us, so that we can grow other colleges and other universities around to that same level. And fortunately for us, we've maintained a really awesome level of success with ESPN. So much so that recently I've been doing a regular ESPN seminars with the Big West and other schools on via Zoom meetings like this one, to talk about our level of production, along with Clemson and Auburn and Texas State, some of the other schools in the some of the other big schools in the country. So that's been an awesome bit of kudos for us. And it directly speaks to the individuals that work for us, how we run our team, the jobs that exist there, and the potential for future employment in this career field if it's something that you choose to do. So in addition to the camps, and I literally will get in a golf cart, and I'll drive around campus. And if I see a young person that I've never seen before, I'll introduce myself and I'll say, hey, what do you know about the ESPN program? And 9 out of 10 times they say nothing. And then we invite them to the trailer, and we dazzle them with all the cool gear we got in there, because it's a virtual techies playroom, and hopefully they come in and find a niche for themselves. But do they have to come right in and find a niche for themselves? They don't. I come in and I expose them to every area of the trailer, and that's cameras, that's graphics, replay, switching the cameras, shading the cameras, setting up the cameras, being a timeout coordinator, a camera operator. There's just so many positions, an audio position. There's so many positions that are available, and I try to rotate a kid around. If a kid comes in and says, look, I'm an audio guy, then I like to hear that, because I come from an audio background. I'm going to let him run audio as long as he wants to, and hopes that he gets to an expert level there, because I know that eventually there are other jobs in trailers that do broadcast sports for individuals like that. So I'm always motivating that guy. But if that same guy says, oh, I've been doing audio for a couple of weeks, I'd like to go over and do replay, then we're also going to make that happen. We're going to rotate people around so that there's lots of experience, and the young people get a chance to find their niche and decide what's really comfortable for them in the trailer. It's a high intensity type of occupation. I'll be honest with you. It's very important that every piece work together. So the pressure can be there sometimes for a young person coming right in. But again, we sit a young person with somebody who's experienced, and we never throw them directly onto the flame. We give them an opportunity to kind of witness what's going on firsthand, and let them decide when they're ready to hop in that seat. But once they do get in that chair, we do hold them to full responsibility as a full-time or regular employee out trying to make the best possible error-free transmission of a broadcast. And that is the standard by which we educate and teach these young people here at Stetson. All in the pursuit, again, of just the best possible production value that we can have per game. All right. So again, as I mentioned, I've got a couple of contractors who've been with me since I've been here, and they're experienced guys, camera guys, and they're really good at what they do. I love bringing young people in and exposing those guys to them, and giving them a chance to get side-by-side training with some of these experienced guys. For example, our camera system is a 4-camera system. It's a Hitachi-based system. However, we have a Canon 55-1 lens. I don't know, you probably don't know anything about it, but if you've seen a sporting event, it's a really, really big thing. It's almost as big as a fridge. And it literally is that super tight lens, the one that all the pro sporting teams use and to broadcast. And we're lucky enough to have one of those. So whenever an individual, a young person, gets trained on that, he's getting training that he literally can't buy anyplace else. And that's kind of an awesome selling point for us as well. Now, being that we're doing sports, you would typically think that we're under the athletics department, but since I've taken over as the director of broadcasting, we've actually separated from the athletics department, and we are a separate entity, a cost center, in fact, in which we are able to bill athletics and bill other departments, which this allows us to do work outside of just broadcasting. So in addition to doing all those broadcasting and live ESPN events, we're also doing things around campus, like focus group meetings, commencement and graduation. We've done that every year for the past 5 years. We're doing the live stream. That's my team out there, the same guys that are shooting a basketball game will be shooting the commencement and so forth. So we try to spread out a little bit and make ourselves very valuable to the university in that way, while exposing some students to an opportunity to get some other additional training outside of just sports training, but also real world live streaming, technology-based learning, which happens with our commencement and some of the live streams that we do, that we give kids a chance to be a part of. So lots of exciting things that Stetson to do once you're on our crew. Um, where we are right now, obviously everybody knows because I've got a couple guys that just recently graduated, and I'm doing everything in my power to get those guys hired on to the next stage of their lives. In particular with ESPN, one of the relationships that I've been building and that I have a great opportunity to get folks into that system is with ESPN. And it's just unfortunate that COVID has taken such a turn, because we were really, with the one or two individuals getting in there just recently, we really had a ramp I felt our ramp was literally ready to go, and we're just going to start sliding kids down into into those career opportunities. And they're definitely life-changing career opportunities if you're a sports fan, to have an opportunity to work with ESPN or CBS or anyone else out there that's doing this level of broadcast. But the experience that you'll gain here will definitely qualify you in a couple years to be able to go out and actually, have a card that says you're a camera operator, and it's with experience to boot. Because like I said, 120 live events a year is quite a number of events, and I guarantee you might not know what you're doing by games 1 and 2, but by the end of that year, you will be very experienced in that area of operation. Let's see. Anything else? I think I've covered everything in regards to how we get kids. We want to get as many as possible, and I'm open to having 30 or 40 kids on schedule at any one time due to the scheduling that happens sometimes last minute when kids can't make it or have other responsibilities that kick in. I work with a calendar-based system. I'll put all of our games on a schedule per quarter, and I'll let you go in and decide which games you can make. And then I just ask that once you sign up for those games, that's a level of commitment to us, and we're really expecting and counting on you to be there for that event. But I do allow overflow there, so 2 or 3 students can sign up for the same spot. If they all happen to show up, that's great. They can also kind of shadow and learn at the same time. If only one shows up, then we're just happy to have that one on that particular day. But we do everything we can to advertise to students, let them know where we are, what we're doing, and to get them involved, and then train them so that they can be the best at what they're doing here at Stetson. Any questions for me at all? Alex, you have something?
Yeah, I have one. This is just my favorite question to ask any of our faculty or staff that we're lucky to have join and host and facilitate these events with us. But what would you say, and I know you touched on it a little bit already, but what would you say to a student, an incoming student or a current student right now? What are you going to take away from your program or being involved in your program that you wouldn't get anywhere else besides Stetson?
Yeah, it's what's interesting about Stetson is it's such a unique environment. What we're doing is such a unique opportunity, because I grew up a sports fan. I grew up watching ESPN, so I could have never imagined the day when ESPN merged with college universities and gave people at a college level the opportunity to be sports broadcasters and camera operators for events that would end up on their network. I could have never fathomed that would happen. So, just being a part of this program, being associated with ESPN and Stetson in this regard. I mean, we've got top-rate athletes like Jacob deGrom that are coming out of this university. I mean, we're shooting those guys. So we're the guys in the trenches early on before they go on to that great level of fame. We're the guys that are doing the best to highlight them at this level. And I like that aspect of it, to be honest, Alex. I just love the fact that we're able to put a spotlight on somebody and then just kind of keep that spotlight on them and hope that it stays on them the whole time until they reach that level of professional success.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Julie just dropped one in the chat box here. Are kids working for you concentrated in certain types of majors?
No, and there is no requirement to do so. There is no broadcasting program at Stetson, however. There is a couple of journalism and media classes that I read all the time, because that's where the graphic artists are, and that's where the people that are interested in this level of technology are usually. But we'll accept students from all over. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Alex, if you don't mind, and Jeff, thank you very much for your time today. I'm Theo Etzel, and I'm an alum of Stetson, graduated in 1980, and was involved with the WHAT radio station back in my day. And I wanted to know if there's any crossover between what you're doing and with your broadcast on online television or video and the WHAT online radio station. Do you have any crossover, or do you share feeds, or do you work with them at all?
We do not. We don't work with them at all. Our number one priority for broadcasting at each event is to get a quality broadcaster stream under contract to ESPN. That's our primary goal, and we haven't even been able to share media. For example, I've had an opportunity or had requests to send a split of that video feed off to a certain place so that somebody could capture it and send it to the web. We're just not allowed to even do that. So ESPN keeps a real tight rein on what's coming out of that broadcast. It's going through their encoders, so they get to say what's going in and what's going out. And then they keep us really, they keep us in line that way in terms of only being in bed with them during the season.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. I was just curious from an old radio hand and audio guy. So that's why I was asking that question.
Well, we do. One of the things that we do, Theo, is that in game we do advertising. So we have, it's changing. It's changed the last couple of years within the ASUN. But each broadcast, I've got 5 or 6 or 7 minutes that I need to fill with media. I tend to either use local media commercials or anything that might come from the visiting school. So there's an opportunity there if you want to promote your radio station. That's something we could talk about doing. There's an opportunity there going out to a wide audience, a worldwide audience.
Yeah, no, I was just, thank you. I was just referring, I'm not in the radio right now. I just was referring to my time at Stetson and being involved in the WHAT station at that time, which was even smaller than what it is now. So yeah.
I don't hear much about it, unfortunately. I'm not hearing a whole lot about it these days.
Yeah, I know. That's I wish it had a little more prominence. That was all my thought process. Just wondering if they were broadcasting side by side. Sometimes, you know how radio and video feed work.
They do. So they that still exists. That does still exist, Theo. And the folks that are doing it, you may know, Alex, you know who I'm talking about. His name is it Skip, was it? Or, I mean, what's the guy who had radio for a while there? So they have a station. It's a local station. They do come in and they set up a table and they broadcast the game. They have actual announcers that sit there and do the game in real time. But no, unfortunately, we don't really have any tie-in with them at all, because I do have my own live television announcers who are broadcasting in real time for television. Right. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yep. Nope. I get that.
Thank you. That's great question, Theo. And before Theo, I moved over to the alumni office last year. I worked in the athletic department here for a few years. So I know, we used to have a bigger radio presence. I know from just in talking to our SIDs, we did have a much bigger and better radio presence at our games. And for some reason, it's just been scaled back a lot more the last 2 to 3 years. So it's not as present. And I think that's something that, so I know some of our SIDs, like Ricky Hazel, he's the SID for football and baseball. He's been involved in, I guess, wanting to kind of either build that presence back up or at least get some more exposure for our teams, especially with what baseball's doing and what basketball's doing with Donnie Jones, things like that. So I know he wants to try and get that bigger and better, but it has been scaled back the last few years.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Great questions, everybody. And we'll leave it open for another minute or two if anybody has any more last minute questions or comments for Jeff. And just a shameless plug for Jeff and his crew. They do, I know he mentioned they do not just the sports games, but they live stream commencement and presidential addresses on campus, or any of our big all staff meetings for all of our campuses to watch. His crew, they do such a great job. And when I was in athletics, I was in facilities, so I'm the guy who shows up with the key, and half the time they're there before I am, waiting for me to open the door so they can get to work. I mean, they just do such a great job, and they're into it 100% of the day. They're just all over it.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate that. We miss you over there too. We really miss you, man.
I know. They keep begging me to come back. And
oh, we cried. We were like, whoa. I got a question for Nick, though. What's going on, Nick? Where you at, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I thought I recognized you. You doing? What year are you in now?
Senior year.
Nice.
Yeah, one more year left.
Ma'am, nice to meet you, Julie.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks so much for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm always glad to help.
So question for you. He and I were just talking. He is interested a lot in the journalism and the writing part of sports and kind of the behind the scenes. And I know you are more the audio video, but do you have connections or kids who are also interested in the sports writing or communication part?
Yes, there is a journalism program at Stetson, and some of those students work on my crew, and they work on various projects that just kind of hone their skills in the area of journalism. And for me, one of the things that I do in addition to overseeing the AV and audio and visual is I'm also writing. I'm writing the spots that are happening, that we're filming, the commercials that we're actually doing. I'm creating all of that material myself. So an asset to me would be a young person who could come to me and go, hey, I have several ideas based on knowing who's involved and what's involved. I have several ideas here that I would love to I would like to share with you before every broadcast. Yeah, anybody on my crew that would tell you, I would probably use those ideas because there's so much going on, and it's so necessary and so frequently necessary that any new idea to me is a viable idea that I'm listening to. So there's a niche there, there's an opportunity there. And then obviously, from here going into professional sports, into that arena, there's so much to write about. Right now, even as a sports journalist, there's so much to write about. I mean, it's like an endless amount of things to write about. So this is one of those fields though where it's not etched in stone how you go about doing what's happening right now, or how to write about what's happening in sports. But I guarantee you, if you hone in, and I remember Nick being really thorough in sport, and just knowing what was going on in the sports. And if you can write that and you can actually get that in on a blog or someplace anywhere, just get it out where people can read it and see it. Start building that now, and then just keep doing that through the next couple of years in college. You get 2 or 3 years behind you of this material that you're creating, and then when your moment comes, somebody's going to ask, well, what have you done, young man? And you'll be like, well, just all of this stuff. And that's how you do it. So this is one of those niches where you just gotta make it happen. You just gotta take your talent and then just find that little niche within this realm of sports, because it does exist. It absolutely does exist.
All right.
And
Thank you.
Nick, are you on LinkedIn?
Currently, no.
Okay, so one thing just from the alumni side, I've even seen recently, just two gentlemen who recently graduated from Stetson, they, on their LinkedIn, they started writing. They were interested in sports journalism, and they just started writing their own articles and posting them to their LinkedIn, since they weren't, they're not technically employed by anybody specifically. So they just started writing about even just their own teams. Well, I think one was a New York Jets fan, and he wrote about the Jets draft after last year and posted it on his personal LinkedIn, and he got great feedback. So even that, like you have that ability if you're interested in that to do that. Certainly encourage anybody to do that, because it's just a great way to work on it for yourself and get your information out there.
All right.
Great
Thank
idea.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome. We got a new guest join us, Mr.
We
Jason.
do. Yeah. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Very good.
Everybody being healthy during the pandemic?
As best we can.
Indeed.
Hey, that's great to hear, man. Being in South Florida, I'm in Miami, we're at ground zero. I kind of can relate to where Wuhan and New York City was. And so, that's the talk. But, we're pushing through, at least here at work, Florida Memorial University, and just trying to be leaders through the process. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too, man.
Thank you for joining. And I know Jeff went through his presentation already, but we do record these, Jason, so I can make sure you get a copy of his earlier presentation. Once we get this done and finished and edited, I can send that to you.
No, that's great. I still owe Jeff my highlight reel. My producer's taking a day and a year to produce it. That's a story for another opportunity. But yeah, if I can get a copy of the recording and this time, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I'll leave it open if anybody has any final questions or comments for Jeff on anything he touched on today, or anything Stetson broadcast related in general. I did drop a few links in the chat box earlier. One of those being a link to learn more about Stetson Broadcast Productions. There's a nice article from the Stetson website. It is a few years old, but it talks a lot about what Jeff and his crew do. And then, like I mentioned earlier, there's that upcoming events from the alumni office, that webinar interest form, and then updating your alumni information if you haven't done so in a while. Those are all in the chat box, and then I can make sure you all get a copy of those links after this as well. And then if you do have any questions that come up afterwards, or you want to get in contact with Jeff, feel free to reach out to me directly. I can get you connected with him, hopefully get anything you have answered and taken care of. But again, thank you all for taking the time to join us today. And Jeff, thank you so much for doing this with us. It was great.
My pleasure. I hope it was helpful, and I do it anytime. Nick, good seeing you again, Nick, and I hope to see you on campus here sometime soon. I just hope to see you on campus. Everybody, I just want to see everybody in person. You know?
No, we can't wait till we can get everything back on campus.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Take it easy.
Hey, take care, gentlemen.
Yep.
All righty.
Thank you.